What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And guys, before we get into the build today, I just want to say, look, if you're someone you like those legends of the game, I'm talking about players from the 60s through the early 2000s, you know, or maybe some players that just time's forgotten that were really, really good, or if you're someone that's younger and you may want to get an idea of some of those players from the past that were really good and they've just been forgotten over time, and this is definitely the channel for you guys. So I would definitely say subscribe because that's all I do. Also, if that's content that you do enjoy, I would greatly appreciate if you would leave a like. That would help me out a great deal as well. And let's get into today's video, guys. Okay. So today's video is actually basically the first time someone submitted a request for me to do a build. And it was kind of fitting. And the reason why I did Tayshaun Prince first is because, well, like I said, it is very fitting because I'm from Kentucky as well. So I watched, Tayshaun Prince when he was in college, all the way through to his NBA career, and what he did in '04 with the Pistons. Seeing that team win a championship and him being a big part of that team, it really made me happy, guys. Because the thing is, guys, listen. And if you're someone that's from Kentucky, you'll get this. You'll understand. But here in Kentucky, we don't have a professional team. So the Kentucky Wildcats are the closest thing that we have to a professional team. And we're always rooting for our Wildcats. Now there are some people I'm sure that root for Louisville as well. But me personally, guys, I grew up bleeding blue. You know. Um, it's just the way that it is in the state of Kentucky, guys, right? So seeing someone that's from Kentucky that went to the NBA, and played really, really well for a long period of time, joining the ranks of other great Kentucky players, right? That have went on to the NBA, guys like Rex Chapman. You may not have heard of him, but he was actually from the state of Kentucky, and he did really, really well in the NBA. He wasn't a superstar by any means, but he was a solid player. Um, then you got guys in the NBA today that came from Kentucky, like Rondo, AD, of course, Cat. So it's really good to see, guys. I mean, and people forget how many great players, say from just the '90s, right? That came from Kentucky. Guys like Antoine Walker, Jamal Mashburn, guys like that they came from Kentucky. They came from Kentucky, and that's where they played their college ball. When we had Rick Pitino, Pitino was another good coach, guys. We've been fortunate to have a lot of good coaches here, but this isn't about a college team or anything. Let's go ahead and I'm just saying that it's fitting that this is one of the first submissions that I've got, and I really like that. I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of history as to why I feel that's very fitting. So to the person that did submit this request, I do want to say thank you. And let's get into the build, guys. Okay. So, Tayshaun Prince, he was never, I'm not going to say that he was a superstar, but he was a very, very solid player on a very, very solid team. Okay. You're talking about this was a team, that '04 Piston squad specifically was a team of really, I mean, I wouldn't say that they had any superstars. And they took down a team that had two legitimate superstars in Kobe and Shaq in the finals. Now, and I know Ben and Rip and guys like that, they were really, really good players, but I would never say that they were anywhere near the level of Shaq or Kobe, right? No one would say that. So, here's this, Detroit squad that really doesn't have anyone on that level, and they beat them, and I mean they did really, really good against that team, guys. So it just goes to show you. I mean, you can look on paper, and just because it looks good on paper doesn't mean that that's going to translate to wins in the NBA. Um, We've seen that several times. We've seen that a couple times with the Lakers, right? Just recently, back in the early 2000s, with when they had Kobe, Shaq, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, guys like that. On paper, it looked amazing, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be wins. And then again, when they had, Kobe, Nash, and gang, it really looked like that's a squad. They're going to go out and win. But that doesn't always mean that, you're going to win at all. You have to, just because you have the talent, that talent doesn't necessarily mean that, it's going to mesh and it's going to create a good, team style of basketball. And that's what it's all about, guys. Good teams beat good players all the time. Look at LeBron, guys. LeBron is one of the greatest players we've seen, and he's lost in the finals more than he's won. And the simple reason for that is because great teams beat great players every time. So it's just the way it is, guys. When you play good team ball, and that '04 Pistons team they were a great team, and their defense was just on another level altogether. But with that being said, guys, let's get into today's build, okay? So with Tayshaun Prince, guys, your main focus, right? It's defense. You know it's defense, so you know you're going to go pure red because you want that defensive ability. And for this, guys, what I would do, and of course, you can always change this if you wish. But me personally, I'm going with the vert simply because when you think of Tayshaun Prince, you think of defense. And when you think of defense, you think of some of those amazing blocks that he got, right? I know that a lot of you probably remember like the amazing block that he got on Reggie Miller, the chase down block, things like that. I mean, he was a blocking machine. And, that's why I feel like we need that vertical, right? So for a Tayshaun Prince build, guys, we're going to basically focus, on this. We're going to focus on our finishing. We're not going to worry too much about the post hook. We're going to go ahead and put the mid-range up. Now, guys, me personally, I'm not even going to touch the three-point shot. You can if you want. But, just me personally, I mean, I'm not really going to worry too much about that, nor am I going to worry about the free throw. And it's just because, guys, even though he was able to do those things a little bit, there's other things we want to focus on, right? This is a Tayshaun Prince build. We want to focus on our defense because that's what Tayshaun Prince was about, right? So we want, and because he's going to be so big, at 6'9", we want to be able to put as many of these attribute points as we can into his defensive ability, right? And that leaves us with 53, guys. And, where it is a small forward build, I am going to put it, that on passing and ball handling. Simply because as a small forward build, I feel like those are two things that you want, right? Now, like I said, guys, if you want 3-point shooting and free throw shooting, you can definitely take away from your defense, right? You can certainly do that because there's a lot to take away from it, right? But me personally, with the Tayshaun Prince build, guys, I feel like your defense, it needs to be really, really good, right? You need to have solid defense for this build, and it's just, to me, I just feel like that's more important than, 3-point shooting and things like that, which Prince wasn't really known for. Could he do it? Yes. Was he known for it? No. So we'll go ahead and let's look at our badges, guys. Okay, so we're gonna have 14 finishing, 1 shooting, 1 playmaking, and then 30 defensive and rebounding badges. So a good badge layout for a Tayshaun Prince build, right, guys? Because we know Tayshaun Prince, his primary objective was, to go out, play solid defense, and when his number was called, 90% of the time he was finishing around the basket, which you're going to be able to do. So. Now, for a Prince build, guys, I would go compact simply because he was a smaller player. 6'9", of course. We're going to pull this down to 212. Okay. And of course, we're going to max that wingspan out, right? Because that's what Prince was known for, right? That huge wingspan. I think it was like 7'4", 7'2", something like that. It was just a really, really good wingspan. And so we're going to max that out for sure. And let's look where we are, okay, guys? So you're going to have a close shot of 90 once you max this build out, with a driving layup of 74, driving dunk of 92, and a standing dunk of 99. Okay, now your mid range, it's only going to be a 63, which isn't great, guys, but remember in 2K22, you're going to be able to do more than good with that, right? You're going to be able to do all right with that. 3-point shot, that's only going to be a 37, but again, that's not the focus of this build. Free throw is 58, and post fade's 34, but again, those are two things that you're not focusing on with this build. You'll have ball handling of 54 with a pass accuracy of 71, which is fine because that's not what you're focusing on with this build. But look at this, guys, okay? You're going to have an interior defense of 84, perimeter defense and lateral quickness of 82, a steal of 84, a block, offensive, and defensive rebound of 99. So defensively, guys, on the defensive end, you're going to get it done. You're going to be able to, and the thing is with this build, guys, right? Because of that wingspan, because, you do have decent speed, decent lateral quickness, decent acceleration, you're really going to be able to play 1 through 5 with this build. You could lock down point guards on the perimeter. You could guard centers on the post. So you're going to be able to do it all with this build, guys, and it's so versatile. That's the thing I like about this this Tayshaun Prince build, and I'm sure you guys may have noticed, but I'm someone that I really like. I really like playing hard nosed defense, right? I like being good on the defensive end, being able to grab rebounds, being able to block shots, get steals, things like that. Because I'm, and it's mainly because I'm old school, right? Like that's the way that when I grew up, when I was younger, in like elementary school and things like that, playing basketball, that was the main focus, right? Hard nosed defense, getting in your guy's face, or in my case, I played on the block, so it was putting your arm into that offensive player's back and letting them know that you're there, and just holding your ground and contesting every shot, switching off on pick and rolls and things like that. I mean, that's the things that because I've always been taller, talking like 6'2" in like sixth grade. I've always played like the center positions, right? The center and power forward. So I always played the interior, and so the things that I learned growing up, was how to do, how to switch off on the pick and roll, how to play, solid defense in the post moves, things like that. So that's, the defense is really the thing that I always like to focus on my builds, because I want, the build that I do, and this is actually very similar to a build that I play with. Normally, I play with a center with with pretty much everything the same. The only difference is the center is 7 foot. But it's pure red, and I really enjoy that kind of build, guys. It's just what I like. But don't get me wrong. I mean, there's days when I'm like, man, I just want to go out and I just want to score, and I'll do a build, for that, and it's fun and everything. But I always end up going back to that pure red, that lockdown, the guy that can guard multiple positions and still put up, 30, 35 points a night easily. And with this build, guys, because you're so tall, and you've got good quickness. If you utilize that pick and roll, you're going to be able to do that with no problem. So let's go ahead and let's look at this, right? I mean, it's a Tayshaun Prince build, guys. You're going lockdown, because you want to be able to lock down whoever. And look at there, guys. I mean, I really think this is a good comparison. I think the Shawn Marion comparison is really good, because Shawn Marion is really, guys. he's another player that gets overlooked a lot, right? He was really good in his days there at Phoenix, and it's just he's a player that people have forgotten over time because he was never seen as an elite player, but he was really really good for a long long time. So, but we'll get in and we'll go ahead and we'll max out this and we'll look at our finishing badges first. So with your finishing badges, right, guys, you want acrobat on gold. You want limitless takeoff because you are a small forward. You can do unstrippable if you want. Me personally, I want rise up, right, because that's a really good one. You could do lob city finisher. That would be a really good one with this build, right? Um, you could do posterizer, post spin tech, pro touch. There's a couple different things that you could do with this build. But I'm going to do fearless finisher, and the other one that I'm going to do, and it's just because the strength is down a little bit. I'm going to do slithery finisher on silver, and that that way you avoid contact, especially when you're laying it up or dunking on a center. That'll help you get that finish right. Okay, so that pretty much does it for the finishing. Now, guys, for your one shooting badge, you've got two options, right? You could go hot zone hunter, or you could go slithery off ball, whichever you prefer. Me personally, I'm going to go slithery off ball. That way, I can slash, because that's the way that I would play with this build. Right on the offensive end, I would be a slasher, and that's just that's the way I would play with it. But if you're going to be someone that you're going to pull up for mid-range shots and things like that, then you could definitely put on you could definitely put on the other badges and things that would more suit you, like a hot zone hunter and things like that. Um, so for this one, guys, you could do a couple different things, right? I mean, again, it's all in your preference. You could do quick first step, unpluckable, and unpluckable is actually what I'm going to go with, simply because your ball handling isn't that great, and where you are a small forward, there may be times when you have to handle the ball, so you want that. But you could do quick first step, you could do needle threader, bullet passer, and because this rebounding is so good, guys, you could even do break starter, downhill if you wanted. I mean, there's several options you can go with. But me personally, like I said, because it is a small forward build, I'm going to go with the unpluckable, right? Okay, so now here's where you're going to get into the bread and the butter of this build, right? So you want ankle braces on Hall of Fame, which um, with this build, guys, I don't know how well that works, but theoretically, it should be good. You're going to want chase down artists because, I mean, that's one of the things Tayshaun was really good at. Intimidator, interceptor, clamps, right? Those are all going to be on Hall of Fame. You can do rebound chaser if you want to, guys. I would do pogo stick for sure, though. I would go ahead and do hustler on silver. And, just for your last one, guys, you could do pick dodger if you want, if you're facing a lot of pick and roll situations. If you set screens, you could do brick wall. You could do box to box out better. But me personally, guys, I would probably go pickpocket myself. And then just that way you can get some steals and things. But I really feel like if you look at this badge layout, right, on the defensive side, you've got ankle braces, clamps, chase down artist, interceptor, intimidator, pickpocket, and pogo stick. Those are all on Hall of Fame with silver hustler. So I really feel like that this is a good Tayshaun Prince build, guys. Now, like I said, if you wanted to go other ways with this, you could. You could do rebound chaser, rim protector, things like that. If you wish to do so, you certainly could. But this is just the way that I would look at it, right? You want to be able to get those steals, so you want these two. This is pretty much, you're going to be able to, anytime someone puts up a shot with that, with your height and wingspan, if you can test it, you're going to cause them to miss pretty much. Chase down artist, again, because of your height and that wingspan. If you get close, you're going to get that block. This is, just more or less when you're playing someone on the perimeter. Like a small forward, say for instance, like LeBron. You don't have to worry about them crossing you over or anything like that. This is just to help you with staying in front of defenders. Now, if you don't have a problem like that, like myself, you could put that somewhere else. But I'm building this as if you may not be very good at defense, and things like that. So, but if you're good at defense and you can stay in front of someone really really well, you could take that off and you could put it on one of these others. Now, guys, I will say that two defensive badges that I feel they're just I've not seen a use for them yet, and that's menace and off ball pass. I guess if you could get in your player's head and it would cause them to miss more in this game, these two might be really really good and overpowered a bit, but the way that it stands, guys, I don't really see that it helps very much. It's certainly not better than Intimidator or anything like that. So I don't know, and I've tried both of these on Hall of Fame, and I'm not seeing any difference, right? So, but yeah, there you have it, guys. To me, I feel like this is a really good Tayshaun Prince build. Um, and again, I want to say thank you for the submission, because this is what I enjoy doing. Not only do I want to give you guys the legends, and things like that, but maybe some of your favorite players that may not have necessarily been a legend of the game. That were just really really good, and they just don't get the props that they deserve. But yeah, with that being said, guys, if that's the sort of thing that you enjoy, those legends of the game from the 60s through the early 2000s, or if you're someone that's younger and you may want to get an idea of some of those players from the past, then I would definitely recommend subscribing to the channel. And if you enjoy this sort of content, guys, I would greatly appreciate if you would leave a like. That would help me out a great deal. And let me know in the comments below, guys, some players that you may like to see me build. I'm always happy to do builds for you guys if it's someone that you throw out there. If it's someone I'm not familiar with, I'll watch some highlights of their game, get an idea of who they were as a player, and we'll do that build. But there's very few NBA players, especially from the mid 80s through today, that I haven't watched quite a bit on, at least enough to know to do a build. So with that being said, guys, have a wonderful day, night, evening, wherever you are. Have a good one.